I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And today is another power ranking video after week 6. But if you guys don't notice, I changed something a little bit. I added a category for the New York Jets because the New York Jets just got right awful. But outside of that, everything else has stayed the same. A, B, C, D, and F. But before I get into these rankings, make sure that you guys are staying safe. And about 70% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you're one of those people, go ahead, click that subscribe button right now and notification bell so you do not miss a video. But keeping that short and sweet, let's get into these rankings. Washington football team, coming off their loss to the New York Giants. I'm going to put this team at the bottom. Quarterback, no matter who's in there, if it's my boy Haskins or Allen or Smith, this offense just does not look any good at all. It's just, I don't want to say it's a bad football team right now. They have the roster to be better, but I think they're but they're trying to find some sort of a rhythm of Rivera as his first year as head coach. So I'm going to leave them at the bottom. Next, we have Fran coming off their big win against the Rams. I am going to put them at a B. No, I'm going to put them at a C. Even though they're still hurt with a lot of injuries defensively, the offense is finally starting to come around, run the football a lot. George Kittle is, in my opinion, the best tight end in football, and he's been playing well. Mostert, I love Deebo Samuel. I love the way he plays. This San Francisco's team, even though it's been hampered by injuries, I still think it's a very, very good and competitive football team. Next, we head on to my 5-1 Chicago Bears. I'm going to put the Bears at a B. I still don't have them as the elite of the elite, only because, like I said in my reaction video, this offensive line is not very good. Despite being 5-1, I still think that's the weakest spot of the Chicago Bears roster. They're going to have to find a way to manufacture some sort of a running game when the weather deteriorates. But this defense is special. This defense is special. They make plays when they need to make plays. They get out to you and they sack the quarterback. This defense is absolutely special. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. They had a lead against the Colts, which they ended up blowing. But I still don't have them at the bottom of the bottom. I have them at a D. This Bengals team is, I think, it's suffering from youthness more than anything. It's not really a very bad football team. It's not a very good one either, but at the same time, this team plays absolutely hard, and their games have all been close outside of Baltimore this year. Joe Burrow is starting to look like a real good quarterback, especially as a rookie quarterback, and this team is not bad at all. It's just, it suffers from youth and inexperience, and they're really starting to learn how to play the game, learn how to win under head coach Zach Taylor. So this team has a very bright future. It's just as of right now, it's not there yet. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills coming off of back-to-back losses. I'm going to put them at the B. I'm still going to have them at a B. They were really, really competitive against Kansas City. And if it wasn't for Josh Allen's inaccuracies and some mishaps, they could have won this football game against the Kansas City Chiefs. This Bills defense is still pretty good. The offense has been sputtering here and there, but I still think this Buffalo Bills team can win the AFC East. Despite those 2 losses in a row, Tennessee loss looked absolutely bad on all fronts. This team looked bad on that game. They did improve against Kansas City, but weren't able to pull out a win. But I still think this Buffalo Bills team is a really good football team. Next, we go to the Denver Broncos. I'm going to have them at the bottom. This is another team. Even though despite beating New England, I still don't believe too much in this football team. Quarterback situation is just not there. It did beat a New England team with Newton coming back from his diagnosis of the virus, but I still don't believe in this Broncos football team. And they are another team, kind of sort of like San Francisco, that's been hampered by a lot of the injuries to their roster. So I'm going to put them at the bottom as of right now. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns, a bad loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Despite that loss, I'm still going to put the Cleveland Browns at a B. I still think they're a very good football team. The loss was not very good. Both of their losses to Baltimore and Cleveland have not been really good losses. So I'm going to have this Cleveland Browns team at a B. It's not bad like that score indicates. I just think Pittsburgh out-game playing them and out-physical them in this football game. And Pittsburgh is a really good physical team, and I think they got out-physicaled and out-manned by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Still a good football team. Baker Mayfield has to play better, of course, but it's not a bad team at all. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off their blowout win, which I loved, against the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at a B. Like I said, this offense is a very good offense. My question was always on the defensive side of the ball. And the way this defense played against the Green Bay Packers offense that was really clicking, it really showed a little bit of something, especially the way they made Aaron Rodgers look. It really showed me something about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. My question was never offensively for the Bucs. It was always, can they hold defenses to below at least 20 points? And they did that in this game, especially against the red-hot Aaron Rodgers. So, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, despite just being 4-2, they're a really good football team. The offense is good. Defense is playing a lot better than what I expected, especially last week against the Green Bay Packers. Next, we have, Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals. I'm also going to put them in a B. The way this offense finally got some rhythm last night, albeit it was against a really bad Cowboys defense, but Kyler Murray, to me, I think he could be the offensive player of the year. Deandre Hopkins got going. They were finally able to get Kenyon Drake in the running game going, which they were looking to do for the most part of this year. And they were finally able to get him going against the Cowboys. I think this could be a game where they really start to find their rhythm offensively. I mean, like their identity. They really found their identity offensively. Despite the loss of Chandler Jones, this defense really still got after Andy Dalton and really still played well. Albeit, like I said, it was against the Cowboys, which their defense is not very good, and the offensive line has been hampered by injuries. But I still think this Arizona Cardinals team, I had them on the uptick coming into the year, and I still are going to believe they're going to keep going on that upswing. Next, we have the LA Chargers. They had a bye, so I'm going to leave them at a C. Their record does not say C, but I feel at the same time, this Chargers team, it plays hard. Justin Herbert is looking like a really good quarterback, despite coming off a bye week this week. So I'm still going to have the Chargers at a C. I think they're better than what their record is showing. But next, we're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs team. I still have them at the top of the top. Defending Super Bowl champions, coming off a really good win over the Buffalo Bills last night. The offense, running game was dominant, and it just shows that this Chiefs offense can beat you in many ways other than throwing a football all over the field. I really love Andy Reid. I've been a fan of Andy Reid since he was a coach in the Philadelphia Eagles. I love the way his offensive look, they're balanced, and the way he schematically calls a game. And Patrick Mahomes, let's just say it has to be the most talented quarterback I think I've ever seen with my own two eyes play football. And this Chiefs defense, I had some questions about them coming in. Despite a bad game against the Raiders, they really stepped up and played well against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So I'm still going to have this team at elite. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to have them at average. They're coming off losses. They're coming off their loss to Cleveland, but they did pick up that W against the Cincinnati Bengals. A comeback win nonetheless. This team, defensively, I think they're starting to get a little bit exposed a bit defensively. They were one of the better defenses coming in, but the way Cincinnati moved the ball on them. I think there's some holes that could be had in this Colts defense. Offensively, they have to maintain and just really establish some type of a rhythm with Phillip Rivers and the rest of the crew. The running game is something that I love from this Colts team. I love how they commit and run the football. But at some point, I think they're going to have to attack down the field more often. With T.Y. Hilton, even though he doesn't look like his usual self, I still think this Colts team has some room for improvement on the offensive side of the ball. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I hate to do this, but the way they looked last night, offense did not look well without Dak. The defense has got to be the worst defense I have ever seen. I mean, the Bears defense in 2013, or was that 14? 2014 was a horrible defense. This Cowboys defense is worse than that. I think this is the worst defense I've ever seen. Zeke's fumbling problems, turning the ball over, has really killed this team. Not even just yesterday against the Arizona Cardinals, but throughout the course of this season. So, despite their record, this whole NFC East is just garbage. Let's just be honest. Let's be absolutely honest. Let's just be honest with that. Next, we have Miami Dolphins. Now, it was kind of strange a little bit that they named Tua the starting quarterback going forward, especially when Ryan Fitzpatrick playing the way he was. It was to me, I'm not going to say it's a questionable move, but it's definitely a head scratcher, especially the way Ryan Fitzpatrick has been playing the last couple of weeks. I'm going to have this Dolphins team in the C. They're a lot better than what I expected coming in. Ryan Fitzpatrick has played a lot better than what I expected. Like I said, it was strange that they named Tua the starter, but nonetheless, this Dolphins team has looked really good the last couple of weeks, even though last week was against the god-awful Jets. But let's just say it's still a head-scratcher to me to name Tua the starter. I mean, I get it. You want to get him in. You want to get him reps, but it's a little bit of a head-scratcher to name Tua the starter right away, especially the way Ryan Fitzpatrick and their offense has been looking. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm gonna have them at an F2. They have a ton of injuries. They just lost Zach Ertz, so this Eagles team is not very good either. They have a ton of injuries defensively, mainly on the offensive side of the ball. They have a lot of injuries. Carson Wentz has been just in and out. Just a couple of weeks, inconsistent. And it's hard to judge this Eagles team with all the injuries. Miles Sanders, he's going to miss this week against the Giants. It's just too many injuries and too much of inconsistent play from Carson Wentz. And the defense cannot really hold leads or stop anybody. This whole NFC East is horrible. Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons coming off their first win of the year against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to put them at a D. I think the coaching change really sparked a bit of a fire in them. And the offense, like I said, is not a very bad offense. It's just been partnered with one of the worst defenses in the league that can't hold leads and can't really maintain any sort of rhythm. But I think the head coaching change really lit a fire in his Atlanta Falcons football team coming off that win against Minnesota. Next, we have the New York Giants. Despite the win against Washington, I'm putting the whole entire NFC East at an F. This has to be the worst division in football. Probably the worst division, probably since the Seattle Seahawks won the NFC West at 7-9. And to be honest, the winner of this division might end up 7-9. It just might end up 7-9. This division is god awful. I mean, and then the worst, they beat up on each other throughout the course of the year, so it's going to make it even worse. The Giants not very good. They did get their win, but they have a lot of injuries. They have a lot of inconsistent play, but they have a lot of youth as well. So neither of these teams in the NFC East is pretty good. Next is Jacksonville. I'm going to put them in an F2. They look really, really bad against the Detroit Lions football team. They look god awful. I still don't believe in Gardner Minshew. The defense is not the same. This Jaguars team, I thought they were going to probably have the number 1 pick coming into the year. That looked like it's going to the Jets, which is the team that's next. The Jets are awful. They can't do anything on offense. They can't do anything on defense. Darnold's hurt. Why haven't they fired Adam Gase yet? They have not fired Adam Gase yet. I'm still baffled by that. Why? I don't understand why not fire Adam Gase. This team needs a complete overhaul. It needs a complete overhaul. Everything on this Jets team is just absolutely horrific. That's why I put them in their own category. This Jets team is absolutely horrific. Next, we have the Detroit Lions. I'm going to put them in a D. I've said this numerous times. Matthew Stafford's played really well. I say it again, is the most underrated quarterback in football. He's stuck on a bad team. They did play a lot better, albeit against Jacksonville, but it's just, this team is so inconsistent. It's like, what are you going to get next from the Lions? Like, at times they look really good, and at times they just look like, what happened? And some of that is the defense. Some of that is the offense not being able to hold on to the football and turning the football over. But like I said, Matthew Stafford, he's been playing really solid. It's just he's stuck on a really, really awful football team. Next, we have the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to put them down at a B. I would have had them at an A. Not even just a loss, but the way they looked against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was not a good sight. Even though it makes me happy as a Bear fan to see that. But this defense was supposedly one of the good defenses. Didn't look like it. The offense was supposedly hot, red hot. Didn't look like it. If they would have lost this game in a different fashion, I would still have them at an A. But it's just the way it looked. It was not very good for Aaron Rodgers in that offense. And then on top of that, Grady and Gronk were able to get their rhythm going against that defense, which has been good the last couple of weeks. So I'm not going to say anything is in trouble for the Packers team at all, but it's just the way that it looked against Tampa Bay. It did not look very good at all from start to finish. It did not look good. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to put them at a C. They despite the loss to the Bears, Teddy Bridgewater had a really solid game. They didn't get the running game going like they would usually love to, because I think the Carolina Panthers football team runs the ball a lot more than they would throw it. They had a lot of drops from DJ Moore. I think this Panthers defense, it was not very good, but then again, the Bears offensive line is not very good anyway. But Carolina Panthers, they're still a very, very solid football team. Matt Rule has his team flowing a little bit, but it's just in the red zone. Even though the Bears are the best defense in the red zone, they weren't able to convert to any touchdowns. And I just feel that if it wasn't for the drops of the Carolina Panthers receiver core, they might have won that football game or even made it even more competitive. But I just think they were going up against the best defense that they've seen and one of the best defenses in the league in the Chicago Bears. But this Carolina Panthers football team is still really good. Next, we have the New England Patriots coming off yet another loss. I'm going to have them at a C. Cam Newton did not look very good against the Broncos at all. It almost reminded me of how he looked in the Super Bowl against the same Broncos team. But he did not look very good. The defense played well, but the New England Patriots offensively just did not look very good. They turned the football over, and it was just not a pretty showing from that New England Patriots offense, especially against the Denver Broncos team, who's a very struggling football team, and they weren't able to muster much offensively. Next, we have the Raiders coming off of the bye. I'm going to have them at a C. They did beat a really, really good Chiefs team, one of the best teams in the league. They did beat the Chiefs, so despite them having a bye, I'm going to put them at a C. I do like the way they're playing offensively with Derek Carr starting finding some momentum and rhythm in his offense. The defense has played a lot better than I expected. So I'm going to have the Raiders here. They're a really good football team on the upswing. Next, we're going to have the LA Rams, Bears opponents for Monday night. I'm going to put them in a C. Let's just say it. The defense, the San Francisco 49ers found a way to keep Aaron Donald out of the game. They found a way to keep Aaron Donald out of the game. I think Jared Goff was brought down to earth just a little bit. And even though the Rams don't have a bad offense, I'm not one of those people that was really, really extremely sold on the Rams to begin with, because, I mean, they were playing not very good competition outside of Buffalo. But I really felt that this game would be a real test to see how this Rams offensive team will look. And it really did not look very good against the 49er defense that was hampered by a lot of injuries. So I'm going to have them at a C. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens. They almost lost the lead against the Philadelphia Eagles, so I'm going to put them at an A. Still, it's a really good football team. Lamar Jackson is playing really well. I think they could have played a little bit better in that fourth quarter against Philly. So I'm going to have the Baltimore Ravens at an A. I still believe in what they're doing. I love the physical play that they really play with. I love a physical style of football with both their defense and the running game offensively. I really love that. Next, we're going to have the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to put them at a B, despite coming off a bye. They get Michael Thomas back from the injury and also the suspension, which I think should really help this Saints team push the ball down the field offensively. The defense has to improve, especially in the red zone. One of the worst red zone defenses in the league. They're not a bad defense, but I think it's ways that they can play better, and they have to get better going forward. Next, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They also had a bye. Russell Wilson, MVP. DK Metcalf was coming into his own as one of the really good receivers in his league, in his second year in the league. So I'm going to have Seattle at an A. Really, really, really solid football team. Defensively, is ways that they can be better defensively, but I feel this offense led by Russell Wilson, who I think should win MVP. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to have Pittsburgh at an A. The way they came out defensively against the Cleveland Browns was very, very impressive. I didn't see this team, not saying being great, I didn't see this team having this start to really start the year. Really, really good football team. And I just cannot wait till the Ravens play the Steelers. That's going to be an absolute dogfight. I'm so looking forward to whenever that game happens, because that's going to be a good one. Next up, we have the Houston Texans. We're going to have the Houston Texans. I'm going to have them at a D. They played very well against Tennessee, which is the next team on this list. They played a really good football game against Tennessee. Deshaun Watson started to find some rhythm against this Titans defense. But the only thing I feel that's missing from this Houston Texans team is that they missed DeAndre Hopkins. They missed those plays where DeAndre Hopkins was really Deshaun Watson's security blanket. So despite Deshaun Watson finally finding some rhythm, I extremely like how this Texas team has played despite their record. I like how they played without Bill O'Brien, which I think was the biggest problem within that Texans football team. They played really well, and they had chances to win that game against the against the Tennessee Titans. It's just the defense could not get the necessary stops when they really needed to. Next, we have this Tennessee Titans football team. I'm going to have them at an A as well. I'm going to have them at an A as well. I did not see this Tennessee Titans football team looking like this coming into this year. I knew they were going to be good because of Derrick Henry in the running game. I did not see Ryan Tannehill being productive the way that he's been productive throughout the course of this year. Now that we've seen them play football for 2 weeks since that layoff from their virus outbreak, I am just so glad that we're able to see the Titans play. And Derrick Henry is the best pure running back in football. Another long 90-something yard run, 200 yards rushing against the Houston Texans. So this Tennessee Titans team is surprisingly undefeated to me. It is a very good football team, and they play against the Steelers this week, so that's going to be, I think, the game of the week. Honestly, the Steelers and Titans is honestly the game of the week, and we really get to see those two undefeated teams test each other out. Next, finally, we have the Minnesota Vikings coming off yet another loss to the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins is a turnover machine. I'm going to have him at a D. Even though Kirk Cousins has been a turnover machine so far, man, it's just I'm still baffled by why people had the Minnesota Vikings winning the NFC North coming into this year. I'm still baffled by that. I've never seen that at all. I could not see this team winning the NFC North, especially with the pieces that they lost. They can't get much of a pass rush. The offense creates a lot of turnovers, which is not a good sign. And they've had opportunities to win games. It's just they haven't been able to capitalize on. And I'm not going to put them at the very bottom, but I'm going to put the Vikings team at a D for now. But that's all I've got for you guys. Be sure to like the video, comment your thoughts down below, share the video, and subscribe to the channel, as that helps the channel to grow. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I will see you guys tomorrow for a very brand new episode of a series that I have not done in a while. So I'm bringing back something that I have not done in a while in tomorrow's video. But with all that said, see you guys next time. Peace.
I wanna say thank you to my mom and my daddy for making love the night that you had me. Wanna thank my friends, my sister and my brother.